Talk with Mo. Glad you clicked on the video. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. The Lou and Mo podcast. Find that on YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, comment. Also, check out www.cblifestyleapparel.com. It's the where. CB, counting blessings, chasing billions, counting blessings. I know everybody can get along with that program. So check me out there. Also, we got a lot of things coming up this year. I appreciate all the love. Like I said, views, comments. I love it all. I wanted to get into something real quick, and you're going to see by the title of the video what I'm going to get into. But you know, a lot of people question, alright, so let me start here. Like being a parent and being a father, being a mother, right, having a child, those are experiences that can't be duplicated unless you experience it, right? I know for sure, like I cannot understand the experience of carrying a baby for 9 months in your belly and then having a baby, right? I can't, there's no way, no matter how much I wrap my head around it, there's no way I can understand that. So that's one thing. Then having a child born, watching them born, being a father, thinking about the things that go on, the DNA that's running around, that's yours, that's you, the similaristics, the characteristics, the everything that's you in a smaller person is something else that's like you can't duplicate it, right? So we like to, some things we don't, especially in society now, we like to put things off as if they can be, all right, or somebody else can share those experiences. They can't, right? There's certain things, like the same thing with, a doctor in the field and then a doctor that has passed all his, tests and all that and did all the things that I don't really know all the things you need to do to be a doctor, but all those things, just passing them, and then somebody who's been in the field for 20 years or something like that, 10 years. You can't duplicate or replicate those experiences. And we like to downplay them because we won't argue about that too much. That one will kind of be, if like you're a lawyer that's 20 years and a new lawyer comes, right, they're not gonna argue with you about your experience. But like for some reason, like even like being a mother or being a father or being married, right, we like to think that we can duplicate them or replicate them, right? And I think that's bullshit, to be honest with you. And I don't like the narrative that we can, right? So it's hard for me to take advice from somebody who hasn't experienced any of what they're talking about, right? It's hard for me to understand them. It's easier for you to understand somebody who has done it because they can give you the real life experience and they can tell you about it, and kind of like, you would walk in their shoes to see it, right? Like being a drug addict, somebody who was a drug addict, and then, got over the addiction or whatever, that would be something that's like, you can't duplicate it. You can't replicate it. So somebody who's a psychologist who's going to tell you, how to get past it, they know the ins and outs of, your brain and how it works. But you being a drug addict, I think for me, would have more of the ins and outs of how to get past it and do those certain things. And I say that because there's a lot of times, about being a parent, like people want to comment and they want to give their 2 cents on, what it is to be a father, or anybody could be a mother, or anybody could be a father, and blah, 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 right? Or anybody, or like people giving advice on being married, especially then there's different levels of experience, because then there's like, all right, just because you got married at 18, you stayed together for 4 years, 5 years, whatever it was, and then you got divorced, and now you're single, but now you're going to give me advice on marriage. Unless you learned a lot from that, even then, somebody who's been married for 20 years is going to have better advice than you, to me, right? And you can study statistics for a long while, right? You can understand certain things, and I'm not afraid of statistics and facts. But it's hard for me to take advice from them. It's hard for, I think, for a lot of people. That's why people question things like that. And then if somebody does question something like that, people have a kickback where they want to, they'll say something like, I heard somebody say something about, well, I don't got to tell you about cancer to tell you, I don't have to have had cancer to tell you about cancer, right? To warn you on this. Well, no, you don't, right? We all know certain things that we can look it up or find out. There's research about cancer. But if you tell me how you got through it, right? If you're a cancer survivor, right, and you went through chemo and all that, you can give me tips on how to get through it and how it felt and how you feel and how it felt after you did it and this and that. You can give me, and that advice probably will be more easier to swallow than the advice of somebody who's a doctor who never had it, just sitting in his couch telling you about it. So you get what I'm saying? Like, there's different levels of this experience. There's different levels of experience in anything, right? Like, when I hear advice from somebody who's 40 telling me about marriage, and they had and from what they say is a healthy marriage, a good marriage or whatever, and then it's like, or if I hear advice from somebody who's 5 years divorced, married again and then divorced again, hopefully you learn your lesson after so many times. But what if you don't? And what if you just spitting out whatever you think is good, right? Whatever you thought was good, right? And then there are some people that do that and then they research. So I say all this just to say, like, you gotta kind of take. I said this before about one of my videos in the Lil Mo podcast about like Gary Vee and Grant Cardone and how they make money. And I listened to a Gary Vee conversation the other day, and he kind of not regurgitated, but he said exactly what I was talking about as far as like it's not made for everybody. Right? Entrepreneurship is not made for everybody. Winning big is not made for everybody, especially financially. And he said the same thing, and that's all I'm saying. But with regards to this is, what I was saying about them was saying, you can't take everything from anyone, and you can't take all the advice from somebody too. Like, cause not everybody. Don't take all the advice from me. Like, I'm just a flawed person, right? Some of my things I think are right, I could change it in 15, 20 years, because something could change in my life that makes me think differently. But as far as like right now, there's certain things that, and we're all ignorant. That's the problem too. I think you need to come from a place of ignorance. Right? We're all ignorant. We don't know everything about everything. There's nobody that's sitting on the planet that knows everything about even one thing, right? They're not a master at that, no matter how many years they've done that. So I say all that to say is, take your advice, take pieces of stuff, take some of it, look it up for yourself too. Try to, when somebody says something to me, I always, for some reason, I go to Google. I go look it up. I want to see what, if that's right, what they said, if that's true. And then if it is, then I'm digging a little deeper, because now I'm like, damn, that might make me dig a little deeper into it. So I say all that to say is, research for yourself, look into stuff for yourself. Don't just take everybody's advice even as an expert, right? Somebody who's an expert at something, that so-called experts, which I hate even saying that. So-called experts and people that have studied the field sometimes they have good stuff, but also experience is a major part. A major part, I think. I think experiencing it, and especially for humans, man, so because we're so emotional and we have different, we have all these characteristics. We're all ignorant, we're all greedy, we're all lazy, right? We're all vain, we're all ambitious, we're all selfish. So these things go along when stories are retold, or when facts are being explained, or when so you got to take that all into account when you listen. And that's all I say. Don't take everything I say. I'm definitely not an expert on not really a lot of shit, to be honest with you, but I know a little bit about a little bit here and there, and then I kind of look into it for myself even more. I'm always learning, I'm always trying to get better, and I think you should join me on that path, right? This is real talk with Mo. Like I said, it's just real talk, right? I know a lot of people give a lot of fluffy shit, This is real talk. So check me out. Like I said, CB Lifestyle Apparel. Check us out, and I'm gonna catch you on the next one.